Welcome to episode 9 of PonderCast. Hashtag New Year, New Gear.
So true.
This is still 2023, and this is going up in 2023. But this is the New Year's and holiday episode. Thank you so much for joining. What's up, Al? How you doing?
Dude, I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
It's like disorienting to like see and hear you.
Yeah.
We have mics.
Yeah, this is a pretty wild development. I'm not even like the Ponder guy, but like this is like pretty crazy. This is my 4th appearance though.
This is your 4th appearance in 9 episodes, and you filmed Bigfoot, so like you are one of the Ponder guys. In truth. But today I figured it would be fun for us to kind of go through the end of the year. It's been a crazy one for both of us. And I thought a fun thing to start off with, while I look for this in my camera roll, how was your year? How'd 2023 go for you?
This year was so wild, dude. What do I want to say on here? I don't know. This year was really wild. Like I spent the first half of the year in school and like playing shows and doing all of that at the same time, and then I graduated in May, and then kind of just like a cascade domino effect of like life events happened. And then I went on tour with Bugsy, and then I don't even know. Like life has been like way better and way calmer since then. I feel like the first like 5 months of the year I was kind of like falling apart a little bit.
Active.
Yeah, I was burning the candle at both ends. But yeah, I'd say large in the end it was pretty cool. Like definitely some pretty devastating lows, but also like some of the most like triumphant highs like I've ever experienced in my life. Yeah. So like yeah, I can't be too upset about that, I guess.
Good shit.
What about you?
It was not my year. To say the least. I don't know, I had a career awakening, which I think is an important thing. And like, I don't know, I spent a year in childcare out of graduation, and like that isn't what I truly want to do with my life, I don't think.
Yeah, it's hard.
So kind of reevaluating like what I was looking for in a career, and also like I started a YouTube channel as a 23-year-old. Which was like bold. Coming out of the gate with Bigfoot was crazy. 49-minute video.
Yeah.
So like I don't expect everyone to have seen that or watched it all the way through, especially, and I can see the analytics, so I know people didn't. So watch out for individual clips coming soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, like, it was definitely, I think, a year of reevaluation. I got to spend a lot of time outside, got to also spend a lot of time inside because it was super cold at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, it was.
And then in the summer, I couldn't go outside for a lot of it because the air quality.
Oh my God.
And now it's, like, warm in December. Like
today is a record high.
Today's a record high.
Yeah, it's December 19th, as today we were recording on December 19th, and my computer told me that it was a record high today.
Damn.
Yep.
I'm honestly not against it at all, because the last 2 winters, I think, were both awful.
Yeah.
It was so cold last year, or so snowy last year, and so cold the year before. It's like, I'll take a warm winter. I don't know what El Nino is, but apparently it's one of those, which is like a not as bad winter. But yeah, should we hop into our Spotify and Apple Music Wrapped? Reaching across the aisle a little bit between these two parties.
We can do that.
Do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
You go first. All right.
The way Spotify does it is like not entirely in order.
Okay.
Which is interesting. So starting with top genres, I pulled bubble grunge.
I feel like everyone like has that, and then like everyone is like, bro, like what does that mean?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like a lot of bands that I see get called bubble grunge by Spotify, and Spotify exclusively. I've never seen someone use that genre descriptor in real life.
I'm saying.
But that was my number 1. Number 2, rap. Number 3, indie pop. Number 4, POV indie. POV indie.
That's interesting.
Yeah, we can get real ASMR right now. What do you think about that?
Knowing you, that makes sense.
I was talking about the ASMR.
I'm into ASMR content. There's this one like really amazing I was watching like turtle ASMR with like at work with some of my kids the other day, because one of my kids was like, I eat like a turtle. And I was like, oh yeah. And then we were watching like a turtle video, but it also happened to be an ASMR, and the turtle was just like had like the cute way that turtles eat, you know what I mean?
Just like chomping on a little piece of lettuce.
Yeah, they kind of have like a wild looking overbite.
My number 5 was alternative hip hop.
Okay.
Which I get like, I don't know. Some of these, it's like rap feels really broad to be like, this was your number 2.
Yeah.
But whatever. I got Burlington, USA for my city. Like,
what does that mean? Like, it gives you a city?
Yeah, it's like, where would you? All right, sorry about that. Recorder just died. So where are we at? Burlington?
Yeah, that's the city you would fit in at. See?
Yeah, but it's everyone got like Burlington or Berkeley, and I think there was like one other that was pretty popular. So it's like, oh, do you like guitar music? You should go to Berkeley or Burlington.
Yeah.
If you like electronic music, why don't you go to Berkeley?
Yeah, there's I mean, I'm sure we're probably gonna talk about it more once I go into like my Apple Music stuff, but I mean, everyone always like dogs on Apple Music over Spotify for literally no reason. But and I'm not gonna like, I feel like in a lot of ways Spotify's better as an Apple Music list user, and at the same time, the one thing is like the rap, like they definitely have like the Wrapped down to like a fucking science, you know what I mean?
Spotify's
like,
marketing is significantly better than Apple Music.
Absolutely.
I will not elaborate on this, but Spotify is Democrats, Apple Music is Republican. And that's all I have to say on that.
All right.
My top song was In My Room by Frank Ocean. Shocker.
Okay.
It's a great song.
Yes.
I listen to that song a lot. My top 4 other songs were in number 5. Going down the list now. Chores by Feeble Little Horse.
Okay.
Which is off their first album and is incredible. Number 4, Change Me by Danger Incorporated. Swag. A song with so much swag. Number 3, Freak, also by Feeble Little Horse. We'll get to them later on, so I don't want to get too feeble too quick. But Freak is the first track off their new album that came out this year. Number 2, I had Wasted by Tom Berlin, which is so good. My top artist was Slaughter Beach Dog.
Yep. Didn't you do a Slaughter Beach Dog week?
Oh, I did. Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Y'all will hear from that eventually. But yeah, Slaughter Beach Dog, Jake, formerly of Modern Baseball, they just put out their 5th album, and it was very good. My other top artists, I'm going to do it normal this time. 2, Pine Grove, average.
Yeah.
3, Frankie Cosmos,
yeah,
average. 4, Feeble Little Horse, so crazy. And 5, Big Thief, average.
Yep.
Top podcasts, number 1, PonderCast by Pondermedia. Damn.
You are watching
That's crazy. Number 3 was Decoder Ring by Slate, which is incredible. Shout out to Willa Paskin. Heavyweight with Jonathan Goldstein by Gimlet, and number 2, which is, oh my god, you could cry every episode. And number 1, You're Wrong About, by Sarah. Oh my god, I'm forgetting her last name, but You're Wrong About is great. However, this does not take into account YouTube podcasts, which, as you might know, I'm a fan of YouTube podcasts. So shout out to the TMG Network and Ben and Emil on Pay Pigs, James Sunday and Nick Mason from Mr. Sunday Movies and The Weekly Planet. Shout out to all them.
Yeah.
For my concentration, I got hypnotist. Ooh.
Your concentration. What is a concentration?
It's like how you listen to music.
All right.
Your concentration is absolute, friend. You like to play albums all the way through, from the opening track to the final note, which is true.
Yeah.
I'm an album guy.
That's true.
And is that it? Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah. So, shout out to Feeble Little Horse, Slaughter Beach Dog, Willa Paskin from Dakota Ring.
Are there any specific songs or specific albums that you have, like, is there any of those that, like, you really want to, like, elaborate on, or was there, like, a specific, like, moment where, like, you heard a song and you were, like, on a walk and you were like, oh my god, or just, like, some, like, moments with, like, songs? Or
I feel like a lot of my top songs are kind of have rolled over from, like, later last year.
Yeah.
Change Me by Danger Incorporated, I was, like, definitely listening to later last fall, but it just kind of, like, bled in. And I didn't listen to a ton of music over the summer just because I was exhausted all the time.
Yeah.
In My Room is the perfect song for anything. Like, that song doesn't... I change to accommodate it. Whatever I'm feeling does not matter. When I'm listening to it in my room, I'm in Frank's room.
Dude, can I tell you something, like, so insanely blasphemous right now?
Yeah.
I think I've only heard that song, like, 2 times.
That's totally fair. Like, those, I don't know, shout out to Frank Ocean, but, like, those singles, I mean, they've never had the impact that Blonde did.
Oh, that was a single joint?
Yeah.
So that's not the Tornado song. Tornado.
No.
Oh,
No.
Okay. That tells you how much I listen to Frank Ocean, and that is, I'm doubling down on the blasphemy right now. Like, I forever respect him as an artist, and I also think it's quite remarkable that
he has a unique approach to marketing his music.
Yeah.
Or lack thereof.
Yeah. Yeah, I just, like, I don't know. I just have never really listened to his, like, music. I mean, not in, like, a super extensive way. Not, I think, and I know, like, we've talked about it, but I think it's, like, really fascinating and perplexing that, like, at least, like, 3, maybe perhaps not the most influential artists of, like, the last decade, but, like, 3 immensely influential artists of the last decade all came from, like, the same place at the same time, talking about Frank Ocean, Earl Sweatshirt, Tyler, the Creator.
And, like, such different roads.
Yeah, and obviously I'm not trying to, like, the only reason that I am drawing this parallel is because they were all in Odd Future and in that, and of those 3, the one that I have listened to the absolute least is Frank Ocean, and that's no disrespect to, like, his artistry. I remember the first time I listened to Blonde, I was in the car with my dad, because I was in Rochester.
Oh, shit.
And I was, like, using the bathroom, and I saw it came out. I was like, all right. And then I, like, put it on in the car home, and I was just like, bro, I'm about to fall asleep. Like, like, it was just such a strain. Anyway, but whatever, you know, that was, like, 7 years ago. I came around, you know, it's cool. Yeah. It's cool and all that.
But yeah, shout out to that song and all the other singles that he's dropped and just kind of, like, have quietly gone off the map.
Yeah.
I feel like the singles he's dropped since Blonde just, like, don't have the same tendency to stick with people. But yeah, shout out to that song. There definitely is albums in my, like, top songs that I would like to talk about later on in the episode.
Okay.
Specifically Feeble Little Horse.
Okay.
But yeah, what's your Apple Music like?
Oh my
While you
God.
do that, I'm going to pull up tap music as well.
I'm really about to embarrass myself, but this is...
I just said Pine Grove was my second most listened to band of the year.
Yeah.
We're getting embarrassed on this pod.
And I suppose, well, I'll say my little, like, tiny, like, thing afterwards. All right, so number 1 for artists, Billy Woods. Listen to him a lot over the summer, particularly. Number 2 was Deem Spencer. Deem Spencer's my man. Don't know him, but really like him. Number 3 was Kenny Siegel. Kenny Siegel is kind of a package deal with Billy Woods because they put out their album Maps this year. So when I was listening to that album specifically, and as well as Hiding Places, like I'm assuming it counted the time for Kenny Siegel. But that's also not to diminish like Kenny Siegel like as his own artist. Like I do like listen to his beat tapes because he is like a really freaky producer. I've listened to Kenny Siegel like for a while. My number 4 was Chester Watson. He came out with a new album this year. And I feel like ever since I started listening to Chester Watson, like he's just kind of like always like no matter what's going on, like literally like ever since I started listening to him, he's kind of been in like forever been in my like rotation. He's just like if I'm like taking like a road trip, I'm listening to something by Chester Watson just because I know like every single word and that shit will just like keep me awake like the entire time. And then number 5 is Earl Sweatshirt. Yep. Kind of a homogenous like top list. Honestly, I feel like where my list gets interesting is when you start getting like
15th place.
Yeah, Apple Music goes down to 15.
Jesus.
So I'll just go through some of these really quick. Number 6, my number 6 most listened to artist was this artist called Wayne Snow. He had this album called Figurine. And man, I forget the dude who produced that album. His name might be like Cartoon or something. I don't really know, but that album Figurine is really cool. Number 7, Silky Southern, super underrated. Number 8, Simone. She was I think she's like still active low key, but like she is like a Brazilian artist who is like big in like the 70s. And I really like her music. I'm gonna just keep skipping around. Number 11, I had Donna Misal. Really like her music.
Super tough.
Yeah. Number 13, I had Aubrey King X, dude from
Drake.
No.
That was a bad joke. Sorry, guys.
He's a rapper from Minneapolis that I started listening to him about a year ago. He put out this song called Big Body. And that song is ridiculous, and that came out about a year ago, but that was off a EP called, oh my god, I think it was called Pregame. And if I'm wrong about that, I'm so sorry. But he came out with an album like a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, called Augs, and like I shit you not, like the first time I heard, like I probably listened to that album at least once or twice a day for like the 3 weeks after I heard that shit for the first time. Like Augs by Aubrey King is like, bro, it's so good.
When a new album comes out and it's like repeat friendly,
yeah,
that's such a crazy feeling. Not getting burnt out on an album.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna move on off my artist because I just spent a lot of time. And also, I was gonna say this at the top, but here's a little like asterisk to my list too. I'm also like a super avid Bandcamp user.
Yeah.
So like a lot of my like music stats are like really skewed because I listen to a lot of music in Bandcamp. And not as much, but I also listen to stuff on SoundCloud too. And I know there is SoundCloud Wrapped, but
they have Wrapped.
Yeah, they do. But it's like that's
bring SoundCloud back to the days of being like a nothing platform, except you could upload a file to it.
Bro, come on.
Primitive SoundCloud.
Yeah, but also SoundCloud Wrapped is also not a super good thing because the thing about that is like, not to say that I'm not listening to new music in SoundCloud, but SoundCloud is kind of like an archive of like songs that like came out like when I was a teenager or wherever, or just songs that like I know are nowhere else but SoundCloud. So it's like I'll have like my number 1 song, I don't know what it is like off the top of my head, but like my number 1 song is probably like a song from like 2017, but I just like had like a 2-day phase with it, like one day, you know what I mean? And I just like ran up the streams like incredibly. So yeah, that's my little asterisk to my thing, I guess. Okay, top songs. FaceTime by Billy Woods, Kenny Siegel. Go figure.
Yeah.
The Layover by Billy Woods and Kenny Siegel. Those two are right next to each other on the album. And also those two songs, because those two songs don't have any cusses in them. So it's really nice because I can play those songs like at work when I'm like with the kids, and I don't have to like tweak or like worry. Because it's like, bro, like I know this is good music. So I know that I can like slowly disseminate it, and there's no fear of anyone trying to get me.
Yeah.
Third most listened to song, Western Education is Forbidden by Billy Woods. That song really cracked my head. I was talking about how I was in college this year. I wrote a research paper, my capstone paper, about like vaping.
Oh yeah.
So that was kind of like a huge plot of this year. For like 4 months I was just like doing a lot of research about vaping, and I remember
real
like
Gen Z shit.
And I remember thinking this like a lot throughout the time of doing, well, because the thing is like vaping is like, in the grand scheme of like nicotine ingestion, like it is like a pretty new phenomenon, especially with like disposables and like blah 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 blah. So like
granddaddy never had a loon,
bro, for real.
Never knew what it was like to hit the fucking dragon blood flavored
as soon
stick.
as you woke up.
God. Keep the Julie under the pillow. I'm about to hit the pod.
But like I remember like but I just like remember like I was doing all this research, and a lot of the research I was getting like was like pretty updated. And then I just like remember thinking, I was like, man, like literally it's cool that I put this paper together, but like at some point, like it's not even really going to matter anymore.
Yeah.
And there's a line in Western Education is Forbidden at the very end of the song. Oh my God. Where Wood says, everything's outdated the day it comes out. And just like, that was just like the line, it caught me on like the first listen, and I was like, yep. You're exactly right. Like soon as my shit comes out, like it is immediately outdated, and it is no longer completely 100% relevant. Okay, number 4 song, Adventures in Wonderland by Deem Spencer. Bro, that album is so good. Adult Swim by Deem Spencer. So I'll talk about that one more later. But Adventures in Wonderland, pretty much every song on that album is like my favorite song ever, to be honest. But like, and I don't even know how this one ended up being the number 4, but that one is just like a really like energetic, like I'm really into that one. And then my number 5 song is Houthi by Billy Woods, also by Kenny Siegel. That one's off their 2019 album, Hiding Place. And that song is really crazy because I had heard it before, but then I saw Billy Woods live over the summer, and I went to the show, and I ran into this person who I knew, and he did Houthi, and it was like, I mean, I was like enjoying the song, but then like it got to the end of the second verse, and like there's a point when like you think the verse is going to be over and it's about to be the chorus, but he just like kept going and going and going, and I was just like, bro, oh my God. And then the dude who I was like talking with, his name is Brandon, aka Love Ulysses.
Oh, word.
Yeah.
Word, okay.
I was like, yo, what is that song? He's like, Houthi. I was like, all right. And then like after he told me that, I pretty much listened to that song on like repeat for like the next week. And that song also like resonated with me in a really wild way, because the chorus, he's like, Mom showed us where she kept our passports hidden, whatever.
Yeah.
Without going into too much, there was like a while over the summer where like I didn't have a license or ID because it was like taken from me, and I was having to prove my identity with like nothing but a passport. So even though the context, me and my little thing with the passport over the summer was likely very different than whatever he was talking about in that song. Like I really have no idea what he was talking about, but like I was just like, well, that's really interesting that I had this like very unique and specific experience with like relying so heavily on my passport over the summer.
Ain't that the power of art?
Yeah, exactly.
It's crazy.
Exactly. I know I'm taking a really long time right now.
Oh, you're good.
But okay, and I'm also, Yep. Then I'm going to go through my albums, and that's the extent of everything that Apple Music tells you, bro.
Does Apple Music tells you what your top albums specifically were?
Yeah.
Or Spotify does not do that.
Wow.
But like, you know, like Tap Music, when people post the like 5x5 grid of it, word, I use that to fill in.
That's like a website?
Yeah, and I like that metric more because I'm more of an album listener.
Okay.
Like,
does it like pair to your Spotify and that's how it tracks it? Okay.
Yeah. So like my 5th biggest album of the year is not by someone who is in my top 5 artists. But like I listen to that album a lot, and like that I think is more representative of where I'm at. But what are yours?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm just gonna do my top 5 because I feel like I've already talked about a lot of the other albums that are in here that aren't. My number 1 is Adult Swim by Deem Spencer. I'll probably talk about it later, but like I really like Deem Spencer. I've liked his music for a really long time, like ever since his first like joint came out, but his projects have always been kind of like hit or miss. Like I'll like a couple songs but not the whole thing, or like I really like parts of it but not the whole thing. There's some projects that like I don't really like at all. In 2021 he put out a project called Deem's Tape, and I was like, this is amazing. And then he put out Adult Swim this year, and it's like in my opinion it's like the best thing he's like ever done. It's like fully realized, like, and he has so much range on it too. Like there's joints when he's like, Deem Spencer is just like so different, and it just like resonates with me in a really crazy way. Also, there is like a clean version of that album on streaming services. Sick. So also that was an album. Yeah. So I played that because that's the other thing too. It's not like I'm just like playing these like dusty loops at work and like blah, blah, blah. It's like and not that there's anything wrong with that, but like I also
played Special Herbs for the kids a lot.
Yeah, it's like, and I know there's nothing
dusty beats and nothing wrong with that.
No, and like there is nothing wrong with that. And you know, I do subject the kids to that sometimes. I'll just like throw on beat tapes, like whatever. But there's like a very rich musicality to Deem Spencer's music that I really appreciate. That I think is also like very like widely accessible to most people who aren't just into like crate digging ass like. Yeah. So my second most listened to album was Fish Don't Climb Trees by Chester Watson. That came out while I was on tour over the summer, and Chester Watson is just like one of my favorite artists. He's been one of my favorite artists for a really long time, so naturally I was going to listen to that a lot. My third most listened to album was Terror Management by Billy Woods. That came out in 2019. There was just like specific songs on that album that like hit me super hard over the summer, like Western Education. There's a song called That Was Then. That's really crazy. There's a song called FNU LNU. That's very crazy on there. My fourth most listened to is Maps, also by Billy Woods and Kenny Siegel. Surprise, surprise. And my number 5 is Figurine by Wayne Snow, which is what I was talking about earlier. Great album. Yeah.
Good business.
Yeah.
I pulled up my Tap Music, my top 5 albums. Two of them are from this year. Holdover from 2022, Chaos Now by Gene Dawson.
Yeah.
Number 5. What an album.
Yeah.
I took a little break with it after I listened to it like every day for a good chunk of last year.
Yeah.
But like that has stayed in heavy rotation this year. Dragon New Warm Mountain, I Believe in You by Big Thief in number 4. Ridiculously long title, ridiculously long an album. I think it's an hour 20.
Yeah, that's long.
It's a really, really long. I think they dropped like 7 or 8 singles, and I was like, well, I have a new Big Thief album. Like, yeah. I'm satisfied. But also Simulation Swarm is Big Thief's best song. Third, new Slaughter Beach Dog album, Crying, Laughing, Waving, Smiling.
Yeah.
Which is kind of Slaughter Beach Dog's return to form after their last album. This is number 5 for them. Number 3 was, I believe, their first time recording as a full band. The first two were mostly done by Jake Ewald and Ian Farmer, the bassist of both Slaughter Beach Dog and formerly Modern Baseball. But number three was their first time all together recording an album. And then their fourth album was entirely produced by Jake during COVID. It was a lockdown album. And I love that album, but I think this one is kind of going back a little bit, and you can tell it's the same band that made the third album, but a little more refined. But it's so good. My Sister and Jesus Christ, song of the year, maybe. Number two, the 1975's last album. I don't want to talk about that yet. Number one, Feeble Little Horse, Girl with Fish. By far my favorite album of the year. And we can kind of get into releases more, but I know you have something you want to say about Spotify.
Yeah, man.
And we'll take a little break in a couple minutes.
Yeah, man. So this is... I was going to pull up my computer, but honestly, that's going to take too much time, and I just read the article, so it's fresh on my head anyway. We're going to keep talking about music, presumably. I suppose I don't really know. But,
you'll see.
Yeah, man, like Spotify Wrapped is cool, Apple Music Wrapped is cool, and also just remember that like these streaming services do not work in the favor of artists at all. It works in the favor of consumers in that you literally have kind of an infinite library of music for a very low price considering what you have access to. Like the fact that you're able to pay like $5 a month, $10 a month for like any song that has been recorded that has also been uploaded to streaming, like that is like unbelievable. And at the same time, that means that artists do not really make a lot of money. I was just reading an article that was on The Guardian, so if you want to read the article, it's on The Guardian. It was literally the first article that popped up when I Googled it, like
on The Guardian. An
hour and a half ago. But the average Spotify, like an artist gets paid a third of a penny per stream. So $0.003 is how much is equivalent to one stream.
In this economy?
So that is that. And also pretty much how it works, it's like, it's not that like, so say someone gets like 10,000 streams, like they're not necessarily making money off of those 10,000 specifically, but like all of the money that is made from every artist in Spotify is pooled and then it is distributed to the artists afterwards. So it's not, so even if like, for instance, I'm just gonna like take my band because that's an easy example and it kind of illustrates what I'm talking about easily.
Go stream. Now I spend all of my time alone.
Yeah.
Bugsy.
Like, so say like you streamed Bugsy's EP 100 times. Like, low key, we're probably not even like really even technically seeing the money off of those streams. Like, we're probably low key seeing the money off of like Taylor Swift streams or like Drake streams or like Bad Bunny streams. You know what I mean? Because they pull in like so much of the money from like streaming. So like really that's how it's going down. To go a little bit further, I mean, all streaming services are kind of on some like bad artist business, so I'm not trying to necessarily single out Spotify, and I also am at the same time, because in the new year, any song that makes under 1,000 streams, the artist who publishes and uploads that song is not going to be seeing that revenue. That being said, the revenue is still being generated, but it is instead being filtered upwards towards other people, people who are making above that. So yeah, that's pretty much what I have to say. Like, if someone, so say someone puts out like an EP, like a single person puts out an EP and it gets like 1 million streams. That's like a pretty significant amount of streams. Like 1 million streams is equivalent to like $3,000. $3,000 is a lot of money. Like, don't get me wrong, but like, how much is like your yearly rent though?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
how
like,
much do you pay for groceries or gas?
Exactly. So it's like
insurance.
I mean, for real, it's like so it's like people like aren't really like making like a livable like wage off of like Spotify and stuff. Like I said, it's very consumer friendly, but it is not artist friendly. So I guess I just want to take this time to say, like, if there's an artist that you really like, go to their website and buy their album. And also, before I go on this too, Bandcamp is low-key also on some bad business. Like, I play in the Briefly Gorgeous...
We have just over a minute until the camera turns off.
Okay. Last thing I'm going to say on this, I'm going to keep going. But, like, Bandcamp is also on some weird business. Like, I'm in a band called the Briefly Gorgeous also, and like last week someone paid like $15, or no, it wasn't 15, it was like $5 for our EP or something. And after all of the deductions, and Bandcamp is supposed to be like the artist platform where they make the revenue.
What Bandcamp Friday?
Yeah, like after like all of the deductions that were taken from the $5 purchase, the Briefly Gorgeous made like 43 cents. And it's like, how the fuck does that even work? What? So like, if there's an artist you like, please go to their like website and buy it. Like even if it's just like once a month that you do this, like if you buy an album for $20, that is equivalent to you streaming it like 6,000 times. So like, I know $20 is a lot and it's kind of hard to budget it, like it can be, and like that's valid if you can't do something like that. And if you really love art as much as you say you do, put your money where your mouth is and just like make sure artists are getting paid, because people definitely deserve to get paid. And that's that, man.
Yeah. All right. We'll be right back. And we're back. Welcome back to the second half of PonderCast episode 9. Episode 9, New Year, New Gear. It's me and Al. You know what's up. You watched the first half if you're seeing this, so you know what we're doing here today. So we just got a bit off Spotify. One thing on that note that I think is kind of important, or at least notable, is like a lot of the issues that artists are facing with streaming are also prevalent with like streaming services in the TV and movie world, and like a lot of the same problems that artists have with distribution platforms like Spotify and Apple Music, and like not seeing money from their work, or like the reasons behind the writers and actors strike. Like people are not being compensated for what they're putting out on streaming, and like traditional platforms, quote unquote. Nothing is traditional anymore because it's the streaming era, but like more established studios kind of still working with like this old mentality of like, well, we make the product and then we sell the product, but then they're not really selling the product. They're selling a subscription with access to a library, and like not being able to generate off of plays alone. Or like if I pay for an ad-free service, they are not getting more money from me every time I watch an episode of something. So then now people are having to go in, like Disney Plus's lowest thing for sure is their lowest subscription still has ads. So like they're getting ad revenue per play on certain things. But now people are upset that there's ads on streaming services, and it's like these massive companies gave consumers the ideal thing and somehow didn't acknowledge that like this was not a sustainable business model in just about any field, and like streaming is ultimately not something that generates a lot of money.
People just don't really like realize I don't know how much the average consumer realizes like how much work goes into like the production and creation of an art piece, whether that be an album, a TV show, a podcast, etc. Like it's
one thing I did want to get into before we talk about our favorite projects of the year. I wanted to shout out everyone who's been on the podcast and dropped a project this year, including Bugsy, new EP, Now I Spend All My Time Alone, Gora Ireki, dropped 2 projects this year. He had an album in the spring, and he just dropped an EP on the 1st of the month, a little collab tape. So he dropped Second Spring, I believe, has dropped 2 songs this year. Kate Malanaphy dropped their first full length as Kate Malanaphy. Rock last year, their band Keep for Cheap dropped their first LP as well, Bundle. So like 2 consecutive Kate Malanaphy albums in 2 years is pretty crazy.
Yep. Maddie Spall. I can't say what projects have been released, but Maddie's been playing with like like incredibly, like so many shows. Like, yeah.
I'm making sure I didn't miss anyone.
I think you got everyone.
I think I got everyone. It's mostly been you.
Yeah.
On this podcast. The episode that will have come out the week before this was not a musician. Episode 3 was not a musician.
Right.
Episode 6 was, as we were saying, but that wasn't really the focus of the episode either. But yeah, shout out to everyone who's been on the podcast, or anyone who is watching this right now, or has subscribed or watched any of the videos, because, you know, nothing's doing numbers, but it's like I appreciate anytime I see the number go up a little bit. Like, that's such a cool feeling, and I really hope people are enjoying this weird little project. More stuff coming in the new year. More stuff. So that's very exciting. So thanks to everyone who has both been on or helped make. One of my sisters filmed the Comic-Con video. Al filmed Bigfoot. So yeah, this has been a super fun thing to kind of like put some creative time into and experiment with stuff and kind of push myself towards new stuff. Because this is not my first bout with YouTube, but it is the only time I would say I've like put effort into making something interesting. Like vlogs in high school and elementary school, I don't think were all that. Although I got 5,000 views on a video on YouTube. Yeah. None of these videos have 5,000 views, so like maybe I need to do my sneaker collection part 2. Anyways, some big releases this year. I talked a little bit about Slaughter Beach Dog's new album, very good. Paris, Texas dropped Mid-Air, super good. I saw Anthony Fantano gave that album a 3, but I don't care about any bald motherfucker.
That is such a broad statement.
Don't use that against me. But regardless, I didn't watch the review. I saw a screenshot. But I really liked that album. Bullet Man was a great single. D&D was a great single. I think it is kind of a victim to the singles are the best tracks philosophy. But yeah, I mean, pretty good album. How do you pronounce Earl's most recent album?
Vor Dyer.
All right, that's what I've been saying, but I didn't want to mispronounce it. What did you think of that?
I enjoy that album. That one has kind of been like a slow burner for me. Like initially, like on pretty much like all of Earl's albums, there's usually like 1 or 2 or 3 albums that like hit me like right away, and I'm like, oh my god. And then I kind of like dissect the rest of the album like through that. And with this last one, I feel like there weren't necessarily... Vin Scully hit me like straight off the top, and I was like, all right, this song is like crazy. But a lot of the other ones, I was just kind of like, okay. But the more that I sit with that album and the more that I'm actually able to like hear what he's saying, like it is like really... I don't know. It's like densely packed, and you kind of need to like follow with him like the entire way through a song. Like you can't just like, not to say that there aren't like certain lines where it's like, wow, like that was like really crafty, or like, wow, that was like really cool. But like largely, like I feel like you kind of need to like tune in like as soon as he starts speaking all the way through and be like, all right, like I hear you. And like in that way too, like, even though it's kind of like vague as to like what he's like talking about, or like very specifically, but like also I feel like it is like kind of really straightforward in like a different type of way, where like it's not like super like coded, it's just like line after line after line, and if you miss the last one, then like it's gonna like pile up, you know what I mean? So like that one's been a slow burner, but like the longer that album has been out, like the more that I've really liked that
album. What did you
album.
think about the rollout of that album? Because like,
bro, that was
I was not a huge fan of having to go to the website and like play each track individually, and then by the time it was on streaming, it's a different track list anyways.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know, I feel like the experience is a little disjointed.
Yeah.
Compared to like when Sick came out, I listened to it all the way through like 3 times, because it's like what, 24 minutes or something.
Sure, yeah.
So like not being able to just run it through, which I think it's a nice experience to listen to an Earl project all the way through.
Yeah.
Like I think all of his albums are pretty suited to be one project.
Yeah.
But then the experience of the rollout also doesn't allow for that format of listening right away. So it's like, all right, yeah, it's good.
Yeah. I guess like to that, like I didn't necessarily have a problem with going to like another place to have to listen to it. Like, yes, that is like a hurdle, and at the same time, it kind of goes back to what I was like talking about earlier, just like with like the Spotify stuff. Like, Earl is someone who I am a really big fan of. So like, if I really am that big of a fan as I say I am, then like it really isn't that much for me to go out of my way to do this thing, because I really like your music and I really want to do it. That being said, it being tied with like all like the NFT stuff.
Yeah.
Like I don't really know that much about NFTs or like crypto at large. And obviously I know like most people in music are making money, and it's all off of like all incorporated in like a capitalist enterprise. So like I can't even necessarily say that it is exclusive like to this, but like putting it in the forefront and being like, yeah, you could only like get it on this website, and also you can get it as an NFT. It's like, bro, like what the hell? Like,
yeah,
I don't know. That was just like confusing
like,
to me.
What is the overlap between Earl Sweatshirt fans and like big NFT guys? Because I don't know, I feel like that Venn diagram would be wing-like.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Smaller midsection, large sides.
And I get like if either of the two artists involved in that album, either Earl or Alchemist, like had a thing and they came out and they were like, yeah, like this is why we did it and like blah blah blah, then I'd at least be like willing to like, I don't know, at least like reckon with it like a little bit more. And like the one time that I was on Twitter and I saw someone ask Alchemist a question about it, he was like, he just got like really defensive and was like, I knew someone was gonna say this. It's like, bro, like you chose to do this, so like you need to be prepared to like answer this question, like like just being honest,
even
like,
if the question is just like why,
literally,
like you put yourself in the situation.
Cool album though.
Also Mike Burning Desire, I liked it. Not as much as Beware the Monkey or Disco or Weight of the World, but I like Burning Desire. Indigo de Souza dropped All of This Will End. Very, very good. Slow Pulp dropped Yard, which I've been super feeling in these past couple weeks. Especially, I was a little late on the album releasing, but I've certainly put my plays in. My number one of the year, Feeble Little Horse, Girl with Fish.
Yeah, bro, what's up with Feeble Little Horse?
Well, I don't think there is a Feeble Little Horse. Yeah, so they dropped this album in like early summer, I want to say. And I was not yet listening to them when they dropped their first album, Heyday. But through the song Chores, I was like, oh, this is crazy. I got to check out this band more. And then saw that they had announced a second album. And I was like, oh, shit, this is crazy. So I got super, super into that. They announced a tour. And I was like, immediate, I'm going. Like, This is the show I want to see this year. And then shortly before their tour started, they put out kind of like a cryptic Instagram post and I don't think they ever like really detailed it. Honestly, I don't even think they've followed it up. But it was kind of along the lines of like, hey, everyone's okay, but we're not going on tour. So I don't want to speculate too much about like what these events were, but the band encountered something, and it doesn't seem like, you know, being an active band is like the most pressing thing on any of their radars right now. So, you know, that is sad, but also they did give us a great album on what might be the way out. Yeah, their last Instagram post is like a big kind of goodbye, thank you message. Yeah, so and like that was the post at the beginning of the summer. So I'm not quite sure what happened, but I hope everyone who was a part of that band is doing well. If anyone from Feeble Little Horse happens to come across this kind of one-off New Year episode of this very small podcast, great album. Love it. But yeah, that was like my big thing of the year. We talked about albums quite a lot, but would you say any of the ones you talked about were a favorite, or do you have a favorite album that came out?
Yeah, definitely Adult Swim by Dean Spencer. And I know I was trying to like curtail myself from talking too much about a lot of the music when we were going through it, but I'm really long-winded and I'm not really good at stopping. So I did talk about it a little bit. Yeah, but like I don't know, dude. Adult Swim is just really good. Like, and I was kind of saying it earlier. I really appreciate just like Deem's like I said, like I feel like his music is like can be like really accessible to like a lot of people. Like I feel like it might not be like pop music in like a traditional sense, but it is like a lot of like melodies and a lot of like just like those same things that like people like can get like really hooked onto. And that's one thing that like latched me on. It's like it's a really catchy album. Like I like walk around just like singing the songs and like
you do.
Yeah, and like I don't know, just like he's a really good singer. Like he's I also just like, and I've always really like appreciated this too, but like he's just like such a good lyricist, and like he talks about like a lot of different stuff on the album. Like there's one song where he just like tells a story about like his uncle and kind of like a story about like his uncle's life. And
Kendrick Lamar did that too.
Yeah, so true. And then but then like, and a lot of songs on the album are, or he has one song called 27 where he's just talking about how he wants to live past the age of 27. Like definitely like early adulthood type music. And also this is kind of a trait across a lot of Dean Spencer's music. I feel like some of it is just kind of like heartbreak music too. Word. And like relational turmoil music.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, even if I'm not going through that necessarily, it is something that I can still resonate with and like get down with. And
it's a human experience.
You know, I had my like little like share or whatever. So like that album just like really hit me like really, really, really hard. And I don't know, I just like really like how I just like really like what he does. Like I just like really like how he can have like really intricate verses where he's just like talking his stuff, but then he also has songs that like are just like really like driving, and it's just like, yeah, like this is a nice song, and like, but just like also lines that'll just make you like, the night's full of light like a feather, you know what it's just like stuff like that where it's like, damn, you're so smooth, like you're not even trying. Like Mans is just like so good. But that was like definitely like my favorite album, like without a doubt. This was not on my list because I listened to it on Bandcamp a whole lot, but the new Flooding album that came out, like
Flooding of Kansas City, Missouri.
Yeah. Flooding is crazy. They came out with it, I think it was on October 13th. Maybe that's wrong, but their album is called Silhouette Machine. And I first saw them this April. They played at Pillar Forum with Prize Horse and Interlay, and I don't remember who the other person was. And then I saw them again in June, and they played with She's Green, and I also forget who else. And they played at Cemetery Ridge. And I was like, yeah, they're so good. And I was just like waiting all year for their album to come out, because it's like their other album is cool. It's their self-titled album, and it's also like 2 or 3 years old. So I was like, all right, like this is cool, and like I just kind of want to hear new music. Like I listened to it and I was like, okay. But yeah, Silhouette Machine is just like fucking amazing. It's heavy as fuck. Like I don't even know. It's like it feels like at points it can be like so abrasive, but then at other points it's like so soft, and other times it feels like really free form and just kind of like, oh, like what's going on? But other times it's like they're like the tightest band ever. Like, and also the morning that came out, like it was like pouring rain that day, and I woke up for work at 6 a.m. and I was driving to the job, just like listening to it as loud as I could, and that was like one of the best mornings of like the whole year. Like, swear to God, just like driving down the highway, pouring rain, just like listening to Rose just be like, and I'm like, yes. Like,
I appreciate you holding the mic away when you did that.
But yeah, I really like Flooding. They're so good, dude. They're so good.
Shout out. We got just over 10 minutes until the camera stops recording. We're also not recording on my phone, so this is huge.
Yeah.
Big upgrade. I don't know if it'll actually like look as different. Maybe the camera is less of a factor. We'll see. I can definitely tell the audio is going to be different because I can hear it, and it's like kind of fucking with me a little bit. But I did also want to, I know you're not as much of a film and TV head as you are music head, but a couple crazy things have happened this year. The whole Barbenheimer phenomenon.
Yeah.
Barbie is Warner Brothers' first billion-dollar movie since Aquaman, I believe. And Aquaman 2, definitely not making $1 billion. It might make like $30 or $40. But no, like that's not gonna do very well. But like
in the company.
God, Barbie was great. Greta Gerwig still on her killing streak, and talking about wanting to do like bigger IP movies and franchise stuff, which I think would be a huge heel turn for her, but also like I think she'd be great at like a massive scale movie. And I mean, not to say Barbie was a massive scale, but like it is. Like
Barbie was huge. What are you talking about?
I mean, like in the scope of the story,
I
like
suppose.
it, you know, compared to something like a Lady Bird or a Little Women that are more focused on one person in one place, or a couple people in a couple places. I know there were some rumors she was maybe going to do a Narnia project.
Okay.
I think at Netflix, but
Interesting.
I would love if she did Supergirl for James Gunn's DC stuff, which might never happen because although Barbie did make $1 million, Warner Brothers could go bankrupt like any day, and David Zaslav is like not very loved by anyone, who is the current CEO of Warner Brothers Discovery. So he might, I don't know. James Gunn might never get to make this DC stuff. There might never be a Barbie sequel. We'll see if $1 billion movie in a couple years was enough to save Warner Brothers from its likely demise. The strikes also happened this year, which was huge. Stay tuned for more on that.
Yeah.
Barry and Succession both ended over at HBO.
Didn't they end on the same day?
Same day, and they both ended their 4-season run.
Yep.
And I think we're both 2018 premieres.
Wow. Okay. End of an era.
End of an era for sure. For HBO, definitely. Was The Last of Us this year?
I don't know.
I don't know. That was all right.
I don't know.
People said it was a masterpiece. It was fine. Barry, I think, ended not very well. But Succession ended perfect. Truly the best TV show I've seen in so long, and just like incredible writing all around. Fargo season 5 is currently airing. That's FX through Hulu, and it is incredible. We'll see how the season ends, but it'll God damn, it's good. I would like to think it could jump up to second place out of the 5 for me. Also, Survivor's current season, by the time this goes up, we'll know who the winner is. So congratulations to the winner of Survivor 45. I'm pretty confident that I know who it's going to be, but when we're recording this, the finale's tomorrow, so we won't know quite yet. If it is 2 people out of that group of 5, I am saying congratulations through gritted teeth. If it's one of them, I'll be ecstatic. If it's the other 2, I'll be like, all right. But there's 5 people left, and I'm pretty confident in one of them. I can't wait.
I know.
I can't wait to talk to you about this season in like May. Seeing how our Watch Survivor schedule is.
Dude.
But it is what it is.
When I asked you the other day, like, yo, like, when does it end? I was like, I want to catch up. And then you were like, it's on Wednesday. And I was like, oh, I'm not catching up.
These 90-minute episodes, I think, are great for the show. And, like, the pacing, being able to show more camp life, as well as the kind of more modern Survivor focus on, like, twists and challenges.
Yeah.
And, like, there's just so much more character time. Like, I understand everyone's motivations and, like, where they're at in the game. Except for one who's still in the game. But the 90-minute episodes, I think, do kind of hurt the, like, rewatchability. Like, I'm not gonna... Like, when we watch other seasons, as we sometimes do, we might watch, like, 2 in a night every now and then. Like, we're usually kind of one and done, but, like, 2-hour-long episodes, 90-minute time block, roughly 60-minute runtime. Like, that's a bigger commitment than 90 total minutes of Survivor.
Right, yeah.
But I'm very stoked about this new season overall. I've seen some people say it's gotten kind of boring in the post-merge, but, like, up to where we have seen,
it's been pretty crazy.
After, like,
it's been pretty crazy.
This, like, late pre-merge and early merge, I think, is the best Survivor's been in so long. So I wanted to shout those things out. I'm trying to think of other things that came out this year that I liked. I did not like The Flash. I don't know why. My damn commitment to this failing studio and just seeing, like, what's happening, what'd they do this time.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care about the stories of the movies nearly as much as I do the studio politics. I've been so wildly entertained by the failures of Warner Brothers for the past, like, 10 years. Because this all launched in 2013.
Yeah.
Like, this has become an old franchise that is now officially over. Thank God.
The thing about Ian is he definitely knows the lore.
I love lore so much. And, like, oh, God. I mean, I didn't think that was going to be a good movie. And it wasn't. I think it was better than it had any right to be, but it was still very bad.
Yeah.
And They Who Shall Not Be Named is certainly never coming back to that role. Similarly, Jonathan Majors got fired from Marvel today for his business. So crazy stuff happening in a genre that has completely lost popularity in the past, like, 3 years.
Yeah.
But we'll see if Warner Brothers can afford to give James Gunn his thing, or maybe it's just time to have, like, a reckoning in cinema and, like, produce blockbusters that aren't IP movies exclusively, and, like, maybe spend...
What is IP?
Intellectual property.
Okay.
It's like franchise
Yeah,
movies.
okay.
Maybe don't spend $200 million on every movie, especially when your average turnaround is, like, $80 million. Like, if your movie profits and it doesn't make that much, maybe don't put $200 million into every movie and TV show. But so yeah, we'll see what 2024 has in store for the film and TV world. Do you know of any albums that are confirmed to be coming out next year? Because there's not a lot of movies coming out next year. We get, like, I don't know, Deadpool. Maybe, I think Dune is coming out.
Dude, none that I'm, like, anticipating off the top of my head. Like, I wish I could say. I really don't know, though.
Yeah. It's also straight up not even 20. It's not even Christmas yet.
I mean, still though. But yeah, I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
I think Vampire Weekend is pretty likely to drop.
Oh,
They've started teasing a little bit, and new Vampire Weekend would be a fun 2024 arc. Need something to sip a gin and tonic to. I need some boat shoe music. But well, yeah. We got a minute and a half. Do you have any New Year's resolutions? Last question.
Take care of myself.
That's valid.
Take care of my people. Be able to regulate myself better. Be nicer to myself. Be kinder to myself.
Oh God.
Literally, I need to stop beating myself up all the time. Make more music. Yeah, that's kind of it.
It's about where I'm at as well. Make more YouTube videos. But yeah, so that's gonna be about it for today. Thank you so much for tuning in to our first ever mic'd up and filmed on a camera podcast. Hope you found something either interesting, informative, or insightful. And yeah, we'll see you next year. Thanks, Al, for coming on.
Yeah. Pondermedia. You know what's going on.
Bye.
You are watching Pondermedia.